right now it's been a week since I've been at the track and I haven't gotten anything done on my cars. Right now, I'm gonna try and I have stuff to do to prepare to put this car in storage. I'm gonna try and burp the cooling system using this funnel that I got from the auto parts store. The idea behind this is it actually raises the high point of your radiator, so that way it gets all the air out, because this thing keeps getting really hot because it's not getting all the air bubbles out for one reason or another. This radiator seems to do good, but it can only do so much when you have a lot of air in the system. The other thing I need to do is get this new fuel pump in. Let me show you that unit right now. It actually is really nice. All it is a like unit from Napa, and it's like the same exact unit as the factory unit, like same size and everything. It's just flows a little bit more. I think it goes from like stock is, I want to say like 44 liters per minute or something like that to like 70 liters per minute. So first I'm going to try getting this cooling system burped, and hopefully the fuel tank's already like the needle's almost on the red, but I'm going to try and get it a little bit lower. So we're going to start with that. Alright, so literally all this kit is like some adapters that you use to make this thing fit on your radiator, and then you just fill this up with coolant and pull the plug out and you let the car run, and then it should work the air out. I've never used one of these before. We'll see how this works. I know there's other options than this, but we're gonna give this a go. Set up idling right now. It's running good, so I'm just gonna let it sit, and I didn't fill it up too tall, but I filled it up tall enough to where it's like the new high point. I might fill it up a little bit more, but that's a lot though. I can pour it back in though, but I'm just gonna let it run, make sure it's not leaking out the cap at all, but it looks good. So I'm gonna let it run, let it warm up, let the thermostat open up. I might turn on the heat right now too, but so that way I can tell when it's like starting to circulate. It ain't got much gas left in it. Hopefully I've got enough gas to let this thing warm up and let it do what it's got to do. Seem to be making like a ton of progress, and it doesn't seem to have like a steady like route, that it doesn't seem to kind of act the way I thought it would. It kind of, you can kind of see there it's running warm, and every time, you can't really see the pot from here, but every time I like run it up high at like 2000 RPMs, the level will drop and the temp will kind of get down there, but then once I let off, the pot like starts bubbling real bad and the temp just goes back up again, and it's still, the temp's really high now. Let's see if I can get, so there's the temp. It seems to, either there's a ton of air in the system that's just trying to work its way out, or it's almost like when I lift, it like induces air into the system. But I don't know. I'm gonna add a little bit more, just because I don't want the level dropping too low. I need any more now, I'm gonna have to go get some at the auto parts store. But it seems to be doing okay, but now it's running really warm. Yeah, whenever I goose it, the throttle, it seems to suck the level down. I don't know. It doesn't like to push the air out, I can tell you that. Well, we got some air there. Every time I goose it, it like brings the level of the pot down. Yeah, it's bubbling. Yeah, it's doing okay, but it doesn't seem to, the temperature doesn't want to stay like steady. The temperature right here doesn't want to like read more steady. Oh, now my level is back up again. Oh no, it's all right. Oh, there it's going over. Going over a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. It's got a weird like behavior to it. But it doesn't seem like yeah, now it's running really hot again. Ideally, I wouldn't be relying on this temp gauge, and I'd be relying on an actual like heat gun, like an actual something better. Because these gauges are not exactly the best, but it's all I have. So basically, I'm just relying on the car. You know, the gauge is moving, so I know it's working to an extent. The problem is I don't know how hot it actually is running, and I don't know how much air is in the system. So like when the needle spikes, I don't know if it's getting like real hot or just like a little hot. It says 270 up at the top of the gauge, but I know for a fact that these gauges are very inaccurate. I'm trying to watch the pot right now. I know these gauges are really inaccurate, and there's no, like, I don't know where 180 is. I don't know where it's supposed to be, and I don't know where it's gonna want to run at idle or where it's gonna want to run. I have no idea where it's gonna want to run with this aluminum radiator, because it's probably cruising around and maybe even idling. It might only be running at like 160 or 70 with this upgraded radiator in. But who knows? It might not, the radiator might not make a difference, but I have no idea. You gotta bear in mind too, I don't have electric fans. I still have the stock fans. So when I rev it up like this, I'm also running the cooling fan as well. Okay, I got a little bit of a temperature spike there. I'm also hoping I don't run out of gas in the time that this is going on, because I'd rather not have to go get more gas to finish my task here. I'd rather, and I need to move the car around after I finish this. So I'm hoping, I want to finish this task and then do the fuel pump, not like, you know, have to go get more gas and keep doing this. And I'm running it, and the idle, I'm at like 16, and the temp is way up again. All right, so I read the instructions, and it seems like I'm doing everything correct. The one thing the instructions said to do that I haven't been doing actually is the fluid starts rising like it is now. Before it erupts, it says to avoid excessive RPM because it can cause the fluid to erupt, which is what I've been doing, so that's part of my problem. Let's see here. Why is that moving so much? The fluid level, I wish I had a camera on this also. The fluid level is raising and lowering by like 4 or 5 inches, which is a lot of fluctuation. That's like a lot. What that tells me is there's still a huge air bubble left in the system. But what it said to do is to shut the car off. If the fluid level starts rising, to avoid spilling over, just shut the car off. But okay, So it's been rising here while I've been letting it idle, but it hasn't been spilling over. Yeah, just went back down. And the temp is really high right now. I don't like it when it's this high, but I don't think, that's not the whole motor though that's running that hot. That's just an air bubble that's hanging out by the temp sensor, is really all that is. Gave it a little RPMs and it bubbled over a little bit. So yeah, the instructions basically said to just let it like idle pretty much. So we'll see. I hope I don't run out of fuel because it might be idling here for a couple hours. But yeah, it's not spilling over now that I'm not like revving the piss out of this thing. So hopefully eventually these air bubbles get the hell out of the motor, and hopefully I'm not gonna rev it anymore. I'm gonna do what the instructions say. We'll see. Yeah, it keeps, okay, I'm happy with that. It keeps getting close to the edge, but it doesn't spill over anymore, which is nice. So I'm gonna keep letting it run and just keep letting it work its way out. Temp gauge is still like really high. I don't love how high it is. It's like at what would be like 240. Although these blocks can take a lot of heat. It's an all iron block. You can take a lot of heat. 240 is actually not as hot as some people think it is. I know in the C5 Corvettes, which is an all aluminum block, because it's an LS motor, those fans don't kick on till like 220, just to give you an idea. So ideally you want your car running at 180 all the time. And it's getting close to the edge there. I don't know if you guys can, you can't really see that. Yeah, it's hard to see, but so ideally you want your car running at 180 the whole time, but that's more of an ideal than reality. I mean, that's the ideal. You can make it reality, but like the reality is 240 is, it's hot. You probably don't want to be running at that temp non-stop. Oh boy, she's getting high. Ooh. All right, so it's running better now. It's been, let's see, what time is it? It's been idling for 2 hours now, and you can see now it's kind of running cooler. It's still not idling super consistent temperatures, but the level on the jug is not, on the bowl is not like fluctuating a ton, and the temperature's not fluctuating a ton. It's actually staying fairly consistent. And I can hear the fuel pump sounds like it's running out of fuel, so I'm just gonna call her good for tonight and see. Once I get the fuel pump done, I'm just gonna go drive it and like see what happens. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, I'll try bleeding it more in the morning, but we'll see what happens from there. You can see it's getting a little warm here, but it's not really over that like second to the top mark, or third to the top mark, I guess, that second green mark from the top. It's coming down a little bit actually now. It's not sitting just stagnant up at the top the way it has been. It's actually been like, yeah, now it's coming down. You can see, yeah, so it's actually running a lot better. So there, I just shut the car off. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna shut the system off and park the car. So all you do to cap this is squeeze the upper radiator hose, put the plug in, and then let go of the radiator hose, and then undo the cap. And I'm gonna just dump the rest in here. All right, so I just went and got some, where'd it go? Just went and got some new coolant, more coolant for the car. I don't know how well this thing is bled, but I actually have a lot of faith in it. I sat and let it idle for 2 hours. So if that doesn't do it, I don't know what will. But I'm amazed that this thing actually had enough gas to sit in idle for 2 hours. It was pretty much on empty when I started it, and the fuel gauge barely seemed to move. But these gauges aren't super accurate, so